It's 4 o'clock on Thursday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Welcome to our 1-year anniversary show. Good to see you. Actually, let me get that chat room open. Pop out chat. There we go. You guys are now popped out and free floating. Get you over here where you belong. And there we go. Hello, everybody. We've got Lamar Pecorino, Andre Stepanian, Martin Gravel, Dan Weber, Terrell Beckless, Chris Anderson, Martin Frog, Nandissimo, Dean Turner, Bob Gunnerfelt, Greg Carosa, Chris Anderson, Peter Rahill, John Pearson, Karen Brasher, Simon Burnham, Giovanni Lanza. The gang is all here for the big anniversary show. Hello, Pat Wara. I didn't announce it as an anniversary show because I've got absolutely nothing planned, and there's a method to my madness, and that is a year ago when we did the very first Taxi Quarantini Happy Hour. It was actually on March 31st. Of last year, but I saw some of you guys chatting about it Tuesday. It's like, hey, today's the anniversary, but actually the 31st was the anniversary. We didn't have a show then, so we're doing it today. I had no plan. Remember, I said you guys would dictate what the show was going to be about every day. Some days you've done a good job of that, other days not so much. Oh yeah, there's the party scene. Yep, those are some of my closest friends. Those are all the kids on spring break spreading COVID. I hope they're having a good time. Hello, let's see, who did we add here? No, I think I've said hello, Mark Phillips. I think I've said hello to everybody else. Nancy Collell, thank you, Nancy. Carrie Harchin, hello. So in honor of today's anniversary, hello, Songs from a Headband, I went back and I should put a shot of the road rally back there. Not that much activity at a road rally, frankly. Yeah, that is the, hello, Riney, that is the daily office routine. Hello, Paul. Glad you could make it. Today's our 1-year anniversary. I was actually thinking about you about an hour ago. I had to run home and look at something the contractors are doing in a bathroom we're renovating. And on the way back to the office, I was actually thinking, gee, I wonder if I should email Paul and tell him to make sure he sees the show today because it's the 1-year anniversary. So I went back and watched a little bit of the first show a little bit ago, probably, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes ago. And check this out. Look at that guy. I remember I had shaky internet that first day. I had a real problem for months, actually, up until the road rally, a problem with the windows in the front door behind me and constantly causing me to go out of focus. Wasn't until the road rally I made cardboard cutouts. And yes, there is the famous bottle of Schelvispeckel, which is the Dutch firewater, for lack of a better description. But in the spirit of Taxi TV and the fact that we call it, actually, I think I called it a happy hour, and Ariana, who we still miss dearly and keep in touch with, Ariana said, you should call it the Quarantini Happy Hour. So we did. And in the spirit of that, today, I just reached into a cabinet in the Taxi kitchen. Oh, look at that. Anything green on the label is going transparent. Anyway, pulled out this bottle of mezcal, which I don't know if you can see it or not. There's the worm right there. This bottle I brought back from Mexico. I went to Mexico. Oh, there I am, out of focus in the true spirit of the Quarantini Happy Hour. Or come on, camera. Come back. Can't believe it. Oh well, it'll figure out who I am and where I am sooner than later. And I'll get back in focus again. Unbelievable. Anyway, man, this is frustrating. Technology. And I spent so much time before today's show getting the lighting right with that background and everything. Damn. Come on. No. This is what the other people on YouTube do. There we go. Anyway, I want to say that it was and now I'm turning orange again. In 1972, I flew from Miami to Mexico City. I met my best friend from the Chicago area. He flew into the airport in Mexico City, and we hitchhiked. Idiots that we were, we hitchhiked from Mexico City to Central America. And we lived to tell about it. And on that trip, I got this bottle of mezcal. It shows you just how little I actually drink. Wow, it's amazing how much that affects the light. So anyway, grab your glasses, and in a minute or two, we will do a shot together. And then, slow-mo does the fix usually. Hello, Dean Turner. Thank you, Paul. Yep, that's the same bottle. Hey, Bonzo, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you back. How many Gophers ago was the first show? It's funny because this morning I was checking. I came home from work yesterday, and there was a big gopher mound in the backyard. Biggest one I've seen yet. It was like that big. It was a whopper. And that made me think, gee, I wonder how many gophers I've caught since I started. And I think I started at the beginning of the Quarantini Happy Hours. I think I'm up to 9, possibly a 10th. I just relocated one recently, but I think that was number 9. Yep, the gophers. Gophers, coyotes, raccoons, recently a bobcat. And it's not like we live out in the country. We live like in a valley between a couple of mountains, but it's a very typical California suburban tract home neighborhood. Oh, come on, Pat, don't be a wuss. Work schmirk. Soon to be 11. Yeah, I put 2 traps on either side of the giant mound. Hopefully by tomorrow or the next day, that gopher will be on the Lasco gopher relocation plan. Simon Burnham's got a Cuban Hill light. Well, I hope he doesn't get ticked off when his toes catch on fire. Oh, man. I should have mounted trophies for the gophers. My wife would get really pissed off. Wow, Songs from a Headband still has 2 cans of Rockstar unopened since the Road Rally 2019. I'm surprised you were able to bring them back on the plane. Reinie's ready to go with vodka and beer. Whoa. Nancy poured a shot of Jameson. Whoa, not a drinker, but this is a worthy... I'm not either. I'm telling you, literally since like 1972. How many years is that? Is that 32 years? No, 39 years? Oh, you drove back? You drove all the way out here from Illinois? What are you, crazy? 39 years ago. Wow. I like Bailey's Irish Cream. All right, well, no party's complete without a red cup, right? Whew. Man, can you smell it? Oh, Liz says 49 years. Is that possible? I'm guessing she actually used a calculator versus the rest of us who apparently suck at math. Let's find out. 2021 minus 1972 equals 49 years ago. All right. 49-year-old mezcal with a label entirely in Spanish. Check out the guy and the little worm on the label. How funny is that? And now I will have a headache in a half an hour. All right. So I'd like to make a toast. Where's my list? I'd like to make a toast to Bria, to Ariana and Liz, to the entire taxi staff, to my wife Deborah, who only twice, I think, ever got even a little cranky about me having all this stuff set up on our kitchen table for a year. And of course to you guys for being here damn near every day. I really, really, really appreciate it. Definitely made the quarantine go faster. I am a brave man. To you. Wow. Rockstar. All right, if I go into anaphylactic shock or anything during the show, somebody call 911. I got to say, it's actually smoother than it used to be. Very woody. You know, for a cheap bottle of mezcal, that really has aged well. And does it even age in glass? I don't know. Whew. Yeah, where is Cass McKenty? Here, I'm going to text him. I actually have him in my phone from him sending me goat pictures. Man, that's still like, woof. Missing the anniversary show. People are asking for you. Okay. I hope that was the right person. Pretty sure. Oh, wow. Hello, Peter Rahill. Man, I could just feel it. It's like a shot of heroin working its way through my body. That is some strong mezcal. I think I could use it for gas if I ever run out. So anyway, have I celebrated getting my vaccination shots? I've only had one. I get the other one 8 days from now, a week from tomorrow. Whew. Wow. I really need to up my drinking game. The show's going to be a short one. Oh, I was trying to think of something fun to do today. And I went looking through my stack of Lasco history stuff, and I found something that I don't think I've ever shown you before, and I'm guessing that very few, if any of you, have ever seen this. Let's see if Cass has answered yet. Nope, he has not. All right. So did you know, ooh, it's falling apart, that Sony back in like 1984, 85, rolled out a 24-track digital machine that eventually became a 48-track digital machine. I think it was called the 3324. I could be wrong. It's about the size of a washing machine. The interesting thing about it was that it got 24 tracks on a piece of half-inch tape that was very thin tape. And you could actually edit the tape. So, which you can't do on any other digital tape. But you could take a razor blade to this, and it had software written into it that it would look at whatever was on one side of the edit and somehow mash it together with what was on the other side of the edit. So this was a group that I produced in 1986. Called The Breakers. I did for X-Wax Productions. They were very close to getting a record deal, and that never happened, actually. But look at the engineer credits up there. ML and JN. He was my assistant. JN was a guy named Jay Newland. And Jay went on to engineer and then finally produce Norah Jones. He was a great guy. I don't think I've spoken to him since probably 1990 or something. How are we looking in the U.S. for the road rally, do you think? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've booked put a hold on the video crew guy, again, just as a backup, and I told him that. I said, we're trying to do a live event, but just in case. We don't know. Right now, flights are starting to open up more. They're letting people sit in the middle seats, which, okay. I haven't seen much activity as far as hotels go or as far as large meetings go. So we're keeping an eagle eye on it, but I want to be prepared in case I've got to do another digital one or virtual one. And at some point, even though, it could be that on October 15th, they say, you can have 2,500 people at the Westin. That'll be too late for me because I've got to start planning this thing well in advance of that. And I've got to plan one way or the other way. So I'm literally checking every day. I'm on 3 different email lists for different travel. Believe it or not, I'm actually a registered travel. I don't think I'm a travel agent, but I had to pass some sort of test and sign up with a thing called IATA, International Air Transport Association, or something like that. I don't know what it is, which all the travel agents belong to. In order to get things at the prices that I used to get from the Westin once Marriott bought them, an IATA agent had to book the event. So rather than paying somebody 15% or whatever they get, I took the test and signed up, paid the fee, and became an agent so that yours truly booked it. So I get all these newsletters, and I'm watching them every day. I'm just looking for any signs of life because at some point, probably around middle of June, I'm going to have to pull the trigger and make a decision. Do I do it this way or that way? So, yeah, it's not a firm drop-dead date yet. But, if I've already started, penciling out what I think the panels might be. I haven't thought of who my keynote would be yet. So that's stuff that I can do that would be applicable, whether it's a live event or a virtual event. But at some point, as far as the hotel goes, we got to get things together, like the classes and all that stuff. So I'm up in the air. I'm a little hopeful. I don't know. My fear is a lot of people are saying, we keep hearing this every day. It's like, oh man, you got to do a real rally. I can't wait to come. Can't wait to meet everybody. I'm really afraid, honestly, that if we roll out a real rally, that a lot of those people that say they're coming in the end aren't going to come. Are they really going to want to be in the hotel lobby bar with hundreds of other people? Are they going to want to be in a ballroom with 1,000 other people? Yeah, we could knock it down so that the ballroom only holds 500 people, and then we would be, and have every other seat or something like that. But then a lot of people are going to say, hey, I flew here from, Singapore. I want to see that panel. And they wouldn't be wrong to say that. So I don't know. I don't know. Simon says, do the virtual. Cases are increasing 7%. You know, here's the interesting thing, is if you go on the CDC website and you look really hard, you will find a paragraph that says that only 6% only 6% of all deaths, and this may be U.S. only, I'm not sure if it's global or U.S. only, but only 6% of the deaths are attributable to COVID only, and that the other 94%, the people had an average of 2.1 other comorbidities. And I really started researching it after somebody mentioned in the chat room on one of the Quarantinis that they knew somebody or had a relative that sadly died in a car accident, and their death certificate or the hospital, whatever, the coroner's report said COVID. And wow. So, yeah, it turns out that if you die in a car accident, sadly, and you happen to test COVID positive, they put you down as a COVID death. Excuse me. How about half virtual and half live from an open state? I can't move the road rally to another state. That's just so unbelievably hard. So much goes on behind the scenes that, I mean, we would have to send a truck to another state. We'd have to send staff to the other state. We'd have to buy plane tickets for panelists in another state. We'd have to get them hotel rooms and give them per diems for another state. Really hard to do that when you're giving away tickets for free. Chris Anderson's not going to bring his comorbidity with him to the rally. That's nice. Yeah, I don't know what to believe. I don't think any of us know what to believe when it comes to COVID anymore. I think that the so-called experts don't really know. It's a new thing. There's not much that is 100% predictable because they've never run into anything like this before. But they say stuff like, Fauci in the beginning, no, masks don't do anything. And then got to wear a mask. Then you got to wear 2 masks. The fact that the teachers union in San Diego doesn't want to go back to teaching in person, yet oddly enough, they're teaching in person for immigrants coming over the border right now. So it's okay to teach those people who are not getting tested, by the way, but the little sampling they've done, 10% of the people coming over the border illegally actually have COVID. So they're teaching these kids in person, yet they won't go back to teaching kids in classes because they're afraid of getting COVID. So the whole thing is it's a joke, and I don't know what the hell to believe anymore. Hello, Marion. How are you? Welcome to the Anniversary show. Anyway, so getting back to this thing, this is a 24-track half-inch tape from December 17th of 1986. And here is the track sheet for that. I don't know how much you can see or not see. But this is the reason I pulled it out. For those of you who are, whoa, where did it go? Maybe it's not on that sheet. Maybe it's on another track sheet. Oh, first of all, if you ever wondered what remembered all the settings on an SSL console back in 1986, it was this. Yes, sirree. That floppy disk was from the SSL automation. How funny is that? Oh, here we go. Right there. See where it says Wendell Snare? Can anybody guess who Wendell was? a square vinyl record. How does it spin? Why, it spins like this. Woo! Wendell Holmes, no. No, not another. I'm not doing another shot of that nasty mezcal. Wendell, we need another shot. Yes! Bill Threlkeld. Hey, Bill, how are you? Bill gets it right. Roger Nichols' drum machine. So I was in the studio, which was called Studio West at Howard Schwartz Recording, which was where this was recorded, on the 19th floor of the Gray Bar building above Grand Central Station in New York. And, oh gosh, who's the famous mixer? Who are like 3 or 4 of the most famous mixers ever? Gosh, can't think of his name. I had a Lindrum. Actually met Roger Lynn once, but that's a whole other story. Why can I not think of his name other than the fact that I've been drinking mezcal? Not CLA, not Mutt. Wow, can't believe it. Anyway, famous guy whose name you would all know was in the studio. I was in Studio West. He was in Studio East, which is, if you walked out the control room door, it was like 20 steps away. No, not Chris. He's been a huge mixer for like 30 years, at least 30 years. Bob Clearmountain. Okay, so Bob Clearmountain was in the room next to mine, and if I'm not mistaken, he was mixing a Chrissie Hynde Pretenders record. Now, way more famous than Dave Pensato. Bob Clearmountain. Sorry, Bob. I mean, sorry, Dave. Anyway, so I'm working with this band, The Breakers, and in walks Clearmountain. First, he kind of stuck, the control room doors had like these little 8x8 or 10x10 windows in them. By the way, here's what half-inch digital tape looks like. Fascinating, huh? Anyway, so Clearmountain, who I'd met briefly at like Spars events or something. I mean, we both kind of knew each other by face, but it's not like we were besties or hung out or anything. So he's peeking through the window, and I do, come on in. And he comes in, and he points at the chair. I said, sure, sit, because I was right in the middle of rolling tape. And no, not ADAT, definitely not ADAT, Marianne. He sits down, and he goes, I could hear your drums out in the lobby. There was a lobby that serviced both control rooms. And they sound amazing. I just wanted to come in and hear them. Anyway, he complimented my drum sound, and it was all I could do to like act cool about it. Like, Bob Clearmountain thinks I got a great drum sound. I was a little full of myself, but hiding it very well. And then, like 5 minutes later, Roger Nichols walks in the room. And Roger Nichols was there to go out to dinner with Clearmountain, I believe, or maybe he knew somebody in the Pretenders. I don't know. Whatever the deal was, he was there. He walks in, he goes, your snare sounds great. I can make it sound better. And I thought, what an ass. Although I worship Roger Nichols and his work, but I still thought, what an ass. I would never say that to another engineer. And then, like, I don't know, 2 days later, he shows up at the studio with a box about, the size of a medium-sized suitcase. And he goes, here, I want you to try my friend Wendell. And I'd heard about Wendell. I think that they used Wendell, which was his sampling drum machine. I think it was 12 bits, if memory serves. I can't believe I can remember that. And he used on Steely Dan on the Gaucho record and a couple others after that. And I mean, nowadays it'd be considered like unremarkable tech. Back then it was considered very remarkable tech, because the bottom line was you could take the outputs of your real drums into different inputs on Wendell and then pick the sounds you wanted, and it would play them back in time with no latency. And it sounded really good, and it was kind of idiot proof, and I'm all the proof you need of that, because I could operate it without a manual. So anyway, there you go. That's why Wendell snare is on there. Let's see, what else did I have? I had bass on 1, kick on 2, snare on 3, hi-hat on 4, toms on 5 and 6, overheads on 7 and 8, room A on track 9, 10 was blank. I had electric guitar on tracks 11 and 12. Track 11 was an 87, track 12 was a 57, and I had them thrown out of phase with each other so that they would actually be in phase. And then for some reason I put room B on track 24. I guess I didn't need 24. I didn't need a sync track on 24 that day, that's for sure. So that was for one song. And then for another song, I had ambient drums left and right, which room, on 9 and 10. Tony, the guitar player, playing crunch on 11. Oh, and here we go. I had my least favorite instrument ever. People may disagree with me. Well, this is bringing back some memories. DX7. Woo! I remember this was the first band I ever worked with that had a DX7. They were so happy to have that thing, and it was cool. It was a little hard to figure out where everything was on it, but I remember that I didn't like the way it sounded. I was kind of used to like Oberheims, which were very rich sounding. Prophet 5 sounded very rich, and then the DX7 just didn't love it. Then guitar left and right, lead vocal comp on 17, backgrounds on 18, 19, and 20. There you go. Nothing too complicated, but there it is. Once again, for any late arrivals, this is what a 24-track digital tape looks like that can be edited. You can still buy these machines probably for like $20,000 now, but I want to say it was a couple $100,000 back then. And if I remember correctly, Sony loved me because I purchased a lot of stuff from Sony over several years. So like when I arrived in LA, when I moved out here, a big honking Sony TV showed up at my house one day with a thank you note on it. Nowadays you'd call that a bribe. I'll show you another interesting Sony collectible. Everybody who was of a certain age had a Walkman, right? But how many people had a Walkman like that? This is kind of like the Nakamichi of Walkman. This is a Sony Pro Walkman. This thing was like $400 or $500. And yet another little gift. Yeah, there we go. That the nice folks at Sony sent me. Taxi was actually started on this machine. I did all my screening on this thing. It's got something wrong with one of the motors, but I've got to say it is by far the best sounding cassette deck I ever had. It's got headphones out, it's got mic and line in, headphone volume. This is the input control. Fascinating, huh? Handled normal bias, chrome bias, metal bias. Had Dolby noise reduction, C-type and B-type. A VU meter, a battery meter, and a peak meter. Anyway, it was a great piece of gear, and it weighs, I'm not joking when I tell you this thing weighs almost 3 pounds. It kind of works. It gets to a certain spot in the cassette, and then the take-up motor doesn't have enough oomph. I'd need to replace the motor in it, but why? I wanted to hear them tell me the procedure for missing the second shot. What if I got hit by a bus? Oh, out-of-town emergency. I don't know about the second shot, but my wife and I or my wife in particular is dealing with that because they just said that people her age can now get shots in California. Unfortunately, she will be out of the country when it would be time for her second shot. So she's trying to get the J&J shot, which is a one-time shot. And she's been going to our healthcare provider every day. And they go, nope, not today. Do you have it in stock? Can't say. Do you know when I might be able to get the J&J shot? Nope, can't tell you. So they think they're running the CIA over there. Paul House nominates me for the Golden Headphones Award for Excellence in Industry Storytelling. Well, you know, part of the reason that I pulled this stuff out is because here, I'm going to go back for any late arrivals. Here is a still shot from the very first Quarantini Happy Hour 1 year ago yesterday on March 31st of 2020. Wow, what a different world. Remember that back then we were all afraid of just like you walked outside the house, you might get the Black Plague and drop dead the next day. It was scary, wasn't it? And here I am with a lot more gray hair. Oh, come on, untangle. A lot more gray hair now. Look at that. Only a little gray around the temples a year ago, and now more gray hair. Anyway, happens. It was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. After we had the big earthquake here in whatever year that was, 1994 or something, the Northridge quake, after everybody kind of came to their senses in 5 or 10 minutes, Deb and I lived in a really big apartment complex, like 1,200 apartments, and we walked outside, and it was literally like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just hundreds of people everywhere you looked, standing there wrapped in blankets. There were no lights anywhere in Los Angeles, and there was no moon, if I remember. It was pitch black outside. It was like hard to see your hand in front of your face, kind of dark, and just hundreds of people standing there. I think most people were still in shock. The earthquake was so violent. I'm sure everybody was still in shock. Ooh, nice. Doug got the second shot on Feb 2. I felt a little crappy after the first shot, just like hung over the next day. Glad I got it on a Friday afternoon. I spent all that Saturday in bed just feeling like crap. Spraying the groceries. Deb and I still, anytime we bring produce home, we still soak it in hot water with dishwashing detergent in the sink. Yeah, that was a tough earthquake. Yeah, I got the Moderna shot. Ooh, Bob got second one this morning. People have told me the second is worse than the first. No, I haven't used... Hey, Tony, how are you? I haven't used the UV lamp in a long time. I'm still pretty darn careful, but there are definitely... I mean, remember a year ago I was telling you I'd go to the grocery store and come home and Lysol the bottom of my shoes, wipe down every little thing in my car, wipe down the doorknob from the garage into the family room, toilet levers, doorknobs inside the house, wash every piece, or anything that I could use, whatever, like a sanitizing wipe on, I did. Other stuff I washed. Um, and now, trying to think. Like when I get in my car, when I leave the grocery store, I open the car door and have a little pump of sanitizer in the door. So I sanitize my hair. My hair. I'm reading Ray Winch's thing. I sanitize my hands before I even touch anything in my car. But I think I'm curious. Are you guys a little bit less afraid today than you were a year ago? Oh yeah, we still wipe down the bread wrappers. We still wipe down everything. Buy a box of cold cereal, we wipe it down, everything. And then just yesterday, I saw something that the CDC now says that it would be pretty difficult to pick up COVID from touching stuff. But a year ago, they said it lives for 3 weeks on cardboard. They really don't know what the hell they're talking about. Fauci became a rock star. I'm sure he's a very nice man. I'm sure he's not stupid, but he's gotten a lot of stuff wrong because you can't say with any certainty because it's so new and, it's virgin territory. Mike S. was never afraid. My kind of guy. Don Ash, 100% not afraid. Andre, I was never afraid to wash my hands like I always did before. Yeah, I was always, on a scale of 10, I'm about a 3.7 germaphobe. Right, they do give you the best info they have at the time, but it's not very good info. Ray's a barber, he touches people all day long. Well, my hair cutter snuck me in several months ago when we were still locked down. He's become a friend over many years. He said, you know what, meet me at the shop. It'll just be you and me, and let's do it. And well, he said, do you mind taking off your mask? I can't trim around your ears. I said, sure. Took off my mask, and of course he coughed about 8 inches from my face right then and there. Some people scare me more than the virus. Yep. Yeah, science is a process, but they've made all these proclamations like they knew. They should have been saying, in my personal opinion, all along they should have said, look, it's new territory. We're just giving our best guesses. At least be honest about it. It's okay to say we're doing our best. This is what we think. The word trust is a lost art these days. No kidding. Yeah, don't get me started on the media. The staff knows. I mean, I won't talk politics as in vote for this person other than that person, but I'm so disgusted with the way that all media is right now. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. It's unbelievable. They are now our government, in my opinion. And cable news, all that stuff. It's just nobody tells the truth anymore. It's all about the agenda and what the way they think the United States should be run. Going both ways. I don't know. We don't talk about candidates. Sorry. You could talk about how Facebook sucks, but you can't talk about how Trump or Biden suck. That's off limits here. I just came up with a concept album. Yeah, those are really big today. When was the last time somebody had a concept album that sold? Yeah, we have quit watching the news at night. We literally just stopped watching the news, and now we binge. Like right now, we're binging Better Call Saul, season 2, episode 4 tonight. Flip phones are making a comeback, especially on Better Call Saul. I'm having a good hair day today. I'm getting my hair cut on Saturday, but thanks, Nancy. I just ran my fingers through my hair right before I went on air. It gives it that tousled look. Wow. Maybe you had COVID, Martin. Ooh, haven't watched Resident Alien yet. By the way, Greg Carozzo is very kind. Remember on the show Tuesday in the Quarantini that I mentioned that it would be cool if Greg could send me some of his earlier sucky material versus his better stuff later. Excuse me. And he sent me a bunch of stuff that didn't get forwarded by the taxi screeners, and then something else in a similar genre that did later get forwarded by taxi screeners. Not a before and after the same thing, because he didn't save the before version when he went in and fixed them. But really interesting. I was listening to what Greg thinks sucked and what the screeners didn't forward. I was listening to it going, this is pretty good. But then when you really listen to it and think about it and look at what the screeners wrote in the critiques, you go, they're right. So that's what we're doing on Monday's show. Oh, I don't have the headline here. I've got Greg's notes, but I don't have the headline. But Monday's show is something like, I thought this was great at the time. I think everybody can relate to that. Any stories about Baker Street? Jerry Rafferty, my favorite song. I've only got one. It's a little off color, but I'll keep it clean, and you guys are all adults, right? If anybody's got any kids in the room, kick them out now. Okay, so I used to have a business partner named Doug. Doug knew how to party, really knew how to party, and it was in Florida during the cocaine cowboy years. Doug was like a brother to me. He just recently passed away about 2.5, 3 years ago. Sadly, alcohol just ate up his liver and killed him. But we had a really good time together, even though I was not a drinker. Doug was a single guy. He liked putting $100 bills in his nose, and I'll just leave it at that, keeping it clean. And I went to pick him up for work one day. He ran the front office of the studio. We were like partners in the studio in Fort Lauderdale. And he called me like 11 o'clock at night and said, I've got a lady friend over tonight. It might be up late. Would you mind coming over in the morning and just knock on my door and wake me up? And I said, sure, no problem. So I go over there. It's about 8:30 in the morning, and I go to knock on the door, and the door is cracked already. And I thought, oh no, what happened here? And I open up the door, and there are 3 or 4 women in an undressed state, strewn on beanbag chairs and the furniture, and some other guy that I didn't even know who he was. And there's Doug asleep in like a lazy boy. And on the floor was a full-length mirror with the name Cynthia written on it in like 12-inch high letters. The name Cynthia was 6 feet across in 12-inch high letters, written in a certain white substance. And so far, all that had been ingested was about 2/3 of the letter C in the name Cynthia. And not that I have any personal experience, but I would say that because of how high the substance was piled, how big the letters were, it was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of half an ounce of substance. And the reason this is all memorable to me is I walk in the door and I'm trying to wake him up. He just reeks like alcohol, and there are naked people all over. And I'm like, oh man, this is weird. Very uncomfortable moment. But I heard the song Baker Street for the first time. and the stereo was on, and Baker Street was on, and I heard that sax solo, and I went, what I wouldn't give to make a record like that. So there you go. There's my Jerry Rafferty story. I hope you're happy that you asked, Paul. Doug, long may you run, buddy. A lot of good times. Where do you stand on the Gavin recall? I never comment on candidates because I think it would be inappropriate, but let's just say the state of California is a friggin' mess on so many levels. Let's see, do I have any idea which listings will be up and coming? I believe you said Middle Eastern be huge, which you were right. Honestly, I don't. We've been getting just tons of great listings, as you guys know if you read the emails we send out. So many great listings lately. The A&R team has been doing a fantastic job, especially during quarantine. I think everybody has really worked a little harder and a little more focused, and they stay more in touch. It's funny, people used to share offices and be under the same roof, but now that we all work remote, well, they all work remotely. I'm back in the office. But just using that story woke you up. Hey, Cass, welcome to the show, buddy. Anyway, honestly, I can't tell you other than a music supervisor who on and off has screened at Taxi when he's been between shows or films or what have you. Just got on a new show, and he's been running a lot of country listings, and I think the sync fees on those are like $4,000. We've been having a lot of country listings lately, which I know makes you guys very happy, and I'm happy that you're happy. I can't think of anything else that really comes to mind. Were you taking a nap, Cass? Wow, 4:52. Man, this hour flew by. I tell stories with vivid color. Really. Trust me, they could be a lot more colorful if I weren't putting this like permanently on tape, quote unquote, or if it were private. Oh man, the stories I could tell. People always say, wow, you've had such an amazing life. And I think, doesn't everybody have stuff like this happen in their lives? Certainly all the people I knew in Florida in the 70s, I think we all had a shared experience. What was the movie with Tony Montana? Why can I not think of it? Anyway, that movie was an understatement. I'm not exaggerating to say living in Miami from like 1972 to 1982, the entire city revolved around the cocaine. Scarface, thank you. The entire city seemed to revolve around the cocaine cowboy culture. And being in the music industry, I was like sitting right behind home plate. Wow, everybody remembers that movie. Martin Frog fell asleep a few times during the virtual rally. Glad to be able to replay. Michael, you are the woman I've always dreamed of. Oh, the song. I was going to say, I didn't know that was your preference, but hey, I'm not judging. Yeah, it was Firefall. That was the first record. I think it was the first record I ever got a credit on. Group was Firefall. That was the single, and I remember I was sitting in the back seat. I'd flown home from Miami. My parents picked me up at O'Hare Airport. We were on Interstate 80, and I was in the back seat of their car, and they had the radio on, and on came that song. And I just went ape in the back seat of my parents' car. I was like 20 years old, and they're like, what the hell's your problem? I said, I worked on that. And they're like, what do you mean you worked on it? Did you sing it? No. Did you play the guitar? No. I was the assistant engineer on it. What does that mean? It means that I set up microphones, I wrapped cables, I filled out track sheets, I labeled tape boxes, I tidied up the studio at night, I kept copious notes, and did whatever they needed me to do to make a great record. And my parents were not impressed. To this day, they don't know what the hell I do. Although my parents were out to dinner at some point. I think they went to a place in Chicago near Michigan Avenue called Smith & Walensky, a steakhouse. And they had a favorite waiter that they loved there. And one day the waiter said something about he had a home studio. My mom said, our son's in the music industry. Oh, yeah? What does he do? He owns a little company called Taxi. And the guy went, your son owns Taxi? And the kid freaked out. So my parents were very impressed that somebody in Chicago. Didn't I say it? The flute's too loud? I don't remember. I mean, was it on that record I said it about? Or was it on the intro, Cinderella, which was the other great song on that record? There were a lot of great songs on that record. The song Mexico on that record was awesome. So yes, whoever just asked about the Walkman, there it is, the Sony Pro Walkman. Look at that. I always say it's like the Nakamichi of Walkman. The thing literally weighs 3 pounds. It has all kinds of good stuff on it. Wow, there's stuff in the back I forgot it even had. Line in, line out. A varies speed on a Walkman. Pretty impressive, right? See if I can even figure out where the batteries are in this thing anymore. Probably all corroded. Whoa, I was right about that. Get those babies. Ugh. I'll do that later. That's like watching paint dry, getting corrosion off of batteries. Could it fit in a cocaine brick? Why, I've never seen one of those. I wouldn't know, Cass. One more shot? No. I will feel like crap. But Cass, now that you're awake, I'll show you. I drank mezcal that I brought back from Mexico in the 70s. And check it out. Still has the worm. Pretty impressive, right? Yeah, the batteries are still in there. This pretty sad state of affairs on the batteries. Definitely got to pull those out after the show. Yeah, that thing's probably worth, I don't know, $50 now? I don't know. All I can tell you is the best sounding cassette deck ever. Ever. I am not eating the worm. Not eating the worm. I can tell you, though, this actually really tasted good. If you like 49-year-old booze. Your wife got sick of mezcal. She heard about the worm. Oh. Wow. Did you keep them in the fridge, Marion? That's the secret. I'm not eating the worm. I'd have to fish it out of there. I don't have a strainer nearby. I do remember that it had a bag of polvo de guasano, which is pulverized worm, hanging around it mixed with chili pepper. And believe it or not, I brought this bottle back from Mexico opened. For those of you who weren't here earlier, my best friend and I met at the Mexico City airport, and we hitchhiked from Mexico City all the way down through Mexico into Central America when it was not cool to go to Central America. Why we did it, I do not know. Somewhere I've got a picture of me where, you know, that the straw like cowboy hat that I've worn on the show a couple times. I've got pictures of me with a backpack, a machete, and a hat like that, hitchhiking through Mexico. How we didn't get killed, I do not know. But I do remember doing shots of this actual bottle with polvo de guasana, and it was really, really hot. I am lucky to be alive. You could say that about a lot of moments in my life. No, not a sombrero. I wasn't trying to look like I was an authentic person from Mexico. Nowadays, I'd get arrested for that anyway, for some sort of, what do they call that? Cultural misappropriation or something, or cultural appropriation. I don't know. Yeah, put a gopher in the bottle. Or no, pour a gopher hole and light it. Oh, man. Yeah, my friend and I remember we were on, like, what could only be described as a dark desert highway, like a 2-laner out in the middle of a Mexican desert. And we each had a gallon bottle of water with us. And we see headlights coming, and we stick our thumbs out. And it was 2 RVs with each RV had like an elderly couple in their mid-70s, maybe early 80s. And they didn't want both of us riding in the same RV for fear that we would overpower them. And so they let my friend go in one, and I went in the other one. And I remember those people, just the look on their face was like, dear God, we'd wish this kid would shut up. I was talking and talking and talking and talking. And it was like, why the hell did we give this idiot a ride? It was pretty funny. Anyway, it looks like our time is up today. So once again, you guys, seriously, I can't believe it's been a year. I didn't do a count to see how many shows we've done, but I remember at some point we did our 100th show, and then shortly after that, a month or so after that, we started only doing 2 a week. So I don't know, we've got to be up to like 150 of these or something. And I really appreciate the fact that I've had you guys as an extended family. I appreciate all Taxi members, but you guys especially, because we've bonded. And, hopefully we can have a road rally in person this year. It would be really, really nice to see all of you face to face and see you guys meet each other. And thanks, Nancy. Nancy says you appreciate for hanging us with all of us through this crazy year. You're welcome. You guys made it great for me as well. So that's it. Hello, Waddell. Yeah, no kidding. We did all get through it. In retrospect, maybe it wasn't as dangerous as we thought, but whatever. The best part was that we all got to hang out with each other. I remember just being alone. I mean, not that I actually like my alone time, but my wife was stuck outside of the U.S. for a couple of months, and I was in a 4-bedroom house by myself with my wife and kids, like 8,000 miles away. And I had no real contact with the outside world other than talking to the staff a lot every day. So, what? Hold on a minute. I tried to upgrade my room at the Westin this year. They wanted an extra $4,000 for the week. What the hell kind of room were you trying to get? Did it come with any accompaniment in the human form or something? I can't even imagine. I don't think that they're that busy. That sounds weird to me. Send me an email about that. I'll call the general manager. Anyway, so there you go. Maybe they're price gouging because they've had so little business. I don't know. I know that they've got a lot of flight attendants and flight crews staying there. Anyway, thank you all. It's been a great year. The topic Monday, again, is Greg Carrozza. I'm going to have him join me on camera, and I'll play music from here at Taxi World headquarters. The topic of the show is, I thought this was great at the time. We're going to play some of Greg's earlier submissions that got returned compared to similar tracks in the same genres later as he developed more and learned more stuff from the screeners. And like I said, I listened to some of the stuff like an hour before the show today, and I'm going, this isn't bad. But then I went, oh, it sounds professional and professionally played and produced, but when you look at what the screener said, they were actually really right. So he felt that he learned a lot, and then by using that stuff, he got a lot better, gets a lot of forwards, and gets a lot of deals and getting placements. So yay. All works out. So I will see you Monday right here. If you haven't given us a thumbs up, please do. And subscribe if you're new to the channel and haven't yet. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Thanks for a great year of Quarantinis. See you on Monday right back here at 4 o'clock for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Bye.